Hey y'all, today's video is gonna be kind of a part two of an older video that I did called God Has You in a Love Category. Well, recently I realized that that was only partially true and that it's not just about love, it's everything. And so today's video is going to be God has you in a life category in some certain specific path. And the good thing is, you're not facing it alone. There are other people who are in that category with you. But it is uniquely your path to walk out with Him. So why am I sharing this? Let me back up a little bit. I think that most of us, Christian or not, we as human beings like to be in control. We like to do things our own way, right? And as Christians, we're instructed not to do that. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him and He will make your path straight." That means you could choose not to acknowledge Him, but your path ain't gonna be straight in that area where there's struggle, where there's confusion, where there's whatever. And it says in all your ways, not 99% of your ways. We have to live with a submitted mind to Christ. And that at the end of the day, even if you're going through the fire, He is with you. And you are with Him, and your rest is found in Him. When you realize that there is always someone that you can depend on, it actually blows your mind because it's not the human experience. Like, there is no one that you can always 100% depend on. The only one is God. And so I get why it's difficult for people to understand, but at the same time, it's the truth. And it's really beautiful and it's really freeing. Personally, I've shared that like my circumstances in the current moment are not very good. And it's been a challenge to rely on Him. But within doing so, I've realized that it's like, come hell or high water, like, I'll be okay. Somehow I'll be okay. And it's not wishful thinking or hopeful thinking or something. It's God's nature. There is no other choice. He will never leave us or forsake us. Anyways, so the life categories that God has us in. I'm gonna give like a brief thing because there's too much there to like unpack. But basically, as I say, we all have individual paths, but fortunately, within His infinite wisdom, by design, no one is alone. No one has to figure out whatever you're going through. There's a testimony of someone who has gone through that or is going through that. But if they've gone through it and they're on the other side of it, there's a testimony there. Or maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's not like a negative life circumstance, but maybe it's a positive thing, but you're not alone. That's the beautiful thing about life and about how God has designed all this. So in the video that I referenced, I was talking specifically about how love, we approach it with, however we approach it. And we don't realize that there's someone behind the scenes who has written the story for every single one of us, whether you acknowledge Him or not. You're just making it easier on yourself if you do acknowledge Him. But whether you acknowledge Him or not, He's already written the scene for you. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have free will. You definitely still do. But His purposes are going to be made known regardless, with or without your consent, really. Um, so I'll just briefly explain. In that video, I talk about how, some of us, uh, we waste a lot of years trying with this one, trying with that one, maybe this is the one, maybe she's the one, maybe he's the one. And it's like, if you had submitted that, if you had submitted that to the Lord in all your ways, acknowledge him. If you had submitted that area to the Lord, he would have made it clear for you. Actually, I have someone for you. Actually, it's going to be like this. It's going to be like that. Personally, uh, I don't know how, I could be wrong about this, but I'm not so sure. There's been like a back and forth about is dating biblical and all that stuff. It's obviously not, because time, the dating of today is not dating of like even 10 years ago, to be perfectly honest. And back in the day, in biblical times, it wasn't even a thing at all. So it's not technically biblical, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong or a sin or anything like that. However, I do feel, knowing how orderly God is, if you truly put him first and seek him first in that area, you won't be going with this one, going with that one, doing that, all that. I think that's honestly a worldly kind of construct that, we've uh, adopted. But yeah, no, some of us he has in categories where you will just go straight into marriage. I never forgot, like, someone telling me about their experience with that, and hearing that actually from a few different people, and I was just like, that is so weird to me. But some people, they're not meant to like have a dating season, is what I'm trying to say. Some people will have a shorter one, some people will have a longer one. But again, even within saying that, I've noticed that if it's from God, it's that one person. Like I knew a couple in high school that met, and I think they met like their sophomore year or something like that. So they dated for a while, and then of course they got married. But um it wasn't like they were, dating this one, dating that one. I don't know. I just don't think that that's God's way. I really don't, because you open yourself up to wounds and different people's spirits and all this stuff that you should like, and temptations and all that stuff. I don't think that's his way, but I could be wrong. Um but yes, some people are meant to just go straight into marriage. Some people are meant to have a long dating period, a short dating period. Some people aren't meant to be married. Some people specifically are supposed to be someone who gets married later in life. And that was really something that was on my heart to talk to mention, because I know for myself, like, I've wasted time in looking at that one and this one and all that stuff, taking on hurts that I didn't even need to, because I didn't know that God had a plan for me. I didn't know. I didn't even know like he cared on that level, because I saw him as very distant, And in addition to that, with me being nearly 30, it's like, for many people it's kind of later and in life, and people can get upset about that. People can get like, think about, it's kind of different, but think about Sarah, who's like, well, I'm this age, so obviously it's not going to happen for me that I'm going to have a baby. We start to discount ourselves. We look for ways to discount ourselves. And that's just not God's perspective. He's not seeing it like, oh, yeah, no, you passed. We see it as that. He doesn't. He actually probably sees it as, oh, yeah, I'm going to get more of the glory here. Let's do this. And so some people are meant to marry very, very young, and some are not. And when we don't know that there's someone behind the scenes writing the story, we will get swept up in the weeds of, oh my gosh, I'm 35 and I don't have anyone. Oh my gosh, like I'm 18. Am I too young? Blah, blah, blah. Like, God wants to meet you wherever He wrote your story, if that makes sense. He wants to meet you there. If He wrote your story with you meeting your person at 18 and you getting married at 19, He wants to meet you there. If He wrote your story with you not finding someone till you're 40, rest in that, but use that time to prepare and rest in that. Anyways, I'm starting to talk too much about what was in that video. So that's what I'm going to address in this video, but more to do with life. So God has us in life categories. Many of the issues that we take on in life, again, I believe, stem from us not acknowledging God, not submitting our ways to God, doing it maybe here and there, but not all over. God cares about you through and through. He cares about your love life. He cares about your career. He cares about every aspect of your being. There's a verse, someone maybe you could comment this, maybe I'll remember at the end, but there's a verse, I can't remember where it is. I want to say it's like in Proverbs, and it talks about like a mother forgetting her young, and it's like a mother wouldn't even forget her child's, how much more, or who could. So I think it's like a mother who could forget her child, how much more will I not abandon you, something like that, like trying to say, like, basically, even some parents, like, walk away from their children, disown their children, whatever, but I would never do that. And man, that hits so hard. But God cares about you through and through. And so for every aspect of your being and every aspect of your life and of life, like, He's already considered something for you. Now, there is a part that we play, and there is times when He's like, no, that's, you choose, you figure it out. But for the most part, He's got everything figured out. And I recently realized this because, again, like, my current circumstances feel the exact opposite of this. What I'm telling you right now is completely by the Spirit of God, because my circumstances do not reflect this. They just don't. At least physically, I'll put it that way, in the natural. And I wasted a whole lot of time going from job to job to job, and then finally finding what seemed like a career that would work for me. And little did I know, even though it's a noble pursuit, it's a good career, it just wasn't God's plan for me. And I regret trying to go forward without Him. I would be in a completely different place. Life would look completely different for me if I never really had my falling away period, my rebellious period. But He still loved, oh my God, He still loved me even through that time, that He kept me. I didn't go so far off the deep end that I, never found my way back to him, basically. He let me have the prodigal son treatment. He's like, "You want to go? All right." Oh, poor guy. I feel so bad. But anyways, if I had acknowledged him, I would have understood long ago, like, this is the path that I have for you. And it blows my mind. Um, for some people, career wise, like I say, he knows exactly your interests, your passions, and he already has something suited for you. For some people, and this has been, y'all, this was so crazy. When I was preparing for this video, the Holy Spirit spoke and I just had to like sit there. I was just like, what? For some people, your career is not going to look traditional. It's not going to be a 9 to 5. You're either going to be working for him, or he's got a business idea or something within you that is going to be what he wants um, you to use, you know. I have to share this story. Um, so it was 2019, and I took this road trip with a friend. It was a really crazy story, which I will tell at a later time because it's actually really significant. But one specific significant thing from it was that during that road, I had just graduated from my community college, and I felt directionless. But I had taken a class, my last class, and it was on like public speaking. And I had written these speeches, and they were always super well received. And it's so funny because I avoided that class like the plague. Like, I waited to the last minute to take that class because I didn't want to. But they were always super well received, way more than I would have ever like thought. Um, and I realized within that I really wanted to make writing a habit for me. Um, but I didn't know exactly like how and to what capacity. When I went on this road trip with a friend, we one of the things that we did is we went to like some nature spots. And when I tell you, I was just in awe. So much so that it was like, oh, I've got to write about this. I have to write like poems about this. And so I come back and like instantly I write. It takes me like 3 months, but because this was 2019. So, um, yeah. So right before the pandemic. And so I started writing, and then the pandemic happened, and then it enabled me to write even more. I actually wrote 2 books from that experience, um, within a span of like 3 to 6 months. And I remember just knowing like I just had to make this a part of my life. And eventually in 2020, I think it was like maybe, oh yeah, it was right before the pandemic. I ended up taking a job, and that was the second time that the Lord spoke to me audibly, and he told me that this will not work out. And I thought he just meant like I wasn't going to get the job. So I went forward, and I'm like, I don't know what he meant. Um Fast forward a little bit, I thought, oh, okay, well, it just didn't work out with them. Fast forward a lot. more, I'm like, oh, he meant like that career path wasn't for me. Fast forward to today, now I'm like, oh, he meant this whole me doing this normal kind of like 9 to 5 type work. Yesterday, the conviction that I got, and it wasn't just from me. There was a video that I came across, and I had to take it back to the Lord, but ultimately it almost like put me in tears because I'd never felt so convicted, I suppose, in my life. Anyways, I realized that throughout my back and forth in jobs and career, during times where I was unemployed and I would do art and stuff like that, the Lord was trying to show me that that is the direction that He wanted me to take in life. I always brush it off as, this hobby that like really calls to me that I want to pursue, but obviously like it's not going to be a job, it's going to be on the side, whatever. But it took me so long, like literally 6 years, to realize no, this is where provision will come for you. This is the door that I want you to walk through. And there's so much to unpack, but it was only yesterday that I really realized that, and it just threw me for a loop. But I say all that to say that had I not wasted time, had I acknowledged God and really said, all right, show me which way to go, Lord, I would have realized it sooner. I wouldn't have been back and forth and headaches and all this stuff because I was in the wrong with the direction that He wanted me to be in for life. Like it blows my mind. Like I'm genuinely in awe. Anyways, so it's like that for all of us. He has something specific for all of us, especially if you know you're not fulfilled, if you know there's something deeper, something more, like He has something for you. And that is where grace will be made. A little bit before I came on here, I posted a thank you. And I have to share that even within that, when I say is prophecy fulfilled, I'm not kidding. I'm going to share a testimony about how I knew he wanted me to be on here and take up this ministry, but I went from, I've had this page specifically for ministry for the past couple of years, but only recently, only when he told me, okay, this is what I want you to focus on, did I start getting views, that I start getting subscribers, that I start, like, it blows my mind how the grace was not there for a while. Like I would post and maybe get like, a few views or something like that, no views, whatever. But since he spoke and the grace is there, now the floodgates have opened. Nothing crazy, but still like I see it. Like it I'll talk about that later. But anyways, He has that for you. Whatever that career is. If you're not fulfilled, if you're not happy, if you know there's more, it's because that's where He wants to meet you. Same with financial. status. People like to demonize that. I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow in my Bible study video. But if you know it's like, no, I want more. Guess what? He put that desire in you. People who genuinely have a hunger, a thirst for like having more, coming from a genuine place and from a Christian perspective or a godly perspective, they're people who want to give more. They're people who want to give. You know, if you just want it just for your personal gain, that's one thing. I'm not condoning that at all. But um like I know for myself, that's been a desire for me for a while. The last time like I was kind of in a situation similar to what I was in, one of the things that bothered me the most was I can't give. I hate that so much. So many people need and I can't give. So, you know, that's a category that he has for you as well. Socioeconomic, you know. Some people are meant to be what's spiritually called storehouses, where you have a lot and you can help others and be a person in a time of need, like Joseph with when he was in Egypt. Some people aren't meant to store it a lot, and don't feel bad about that. You know, he as long as your basic needs are met, as long as you're not under the curse of poverty, a lot comes with if you're given a lot more responsibility comes with that. So it's not like, you know, it's a lot. But so financially, career wise, where you want to live, he's got a category for that. There are specific people that will come across your path that will be so impactful because of where you're at, and you need to be there, and there will be an audience for you, if especially if you're like in ministry or something, that will be for you in that place. um there was an example I was going to use and I just lost it. Oh, okay, I'll use this. When Jesus was starting his ministry, one of the first places he went to was his hometown, but yet they wouldn't receive him. He was not called to them. It sounds weird, but he really wasn't called to them. Or they weren't called to him is probably a better way of saying it. But or no, actually, however you want to say it, they were not called to receive from him. Hopefully, maybe they got it somewhere along the road, somewhere down the road, but they were not called. He had to leave. It says, you know, they wouldn't receive him and he had to leave that area. That old place that you're in, it might be comfortable. It might look like it's working or whatever, but when you're in comfort, I've realized that life is really not even stagnant. It's kind of regressing for you. Regard like wherever that whatever that looks like, whether it be spiritually, mentally, emotionally. If you It might sound exhausting, but if you're not someone who constantly is trying to examine self and do better than the day before, you're in danger of regressing because life is continually moving. It's a facade to think that it's like, you know, let's just have life just stay the same and be peaceful. No, 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 no. That's a facade. There's no such thing. Um, and you'll find yourself in situations and circumstances where you're going to be like that metaphor with the frog being boiled alive. You know, they say like if you're gonna cook a frog, I don't know how real this is, if it's just a metaphor, but um, you put them in some water and you slowly turn up the heat. By the time it's boiling, they don't realize it, and they're dead. But um, that's how life will find you in various areas if you are not trying to continually progress. So, career wise, love, financially, where you're supposed to live, specific areas, specific places. Oh, yeah, the example I was going to use was my own. And it was when I went to Ireland. Y'all, this is so insane to me. This is so insane. So, when I went to Ireland, which the Lord Himself orchestrated because I tried everything on my own, failed. As soon as I submitted it to Him, love that word, right? He came through. Oh my God. So I went there and I really didn't have a clue as to why He wanted me to go there. Like, I knew He was behind it, but I didn't have like a full clue. I had like some bits and pieces, but not all of it. And I won't share all of it, but one thing that is just oh so good. I went to a church that He had directed me to go to, and I had met some people, um, very nice people, and they, we exchanged numbers to stay in touch. I didn't even think much of it at the time, and when I came back, and it's like, oh, it's nice to like talk to him or whatever, but no big deal. I did not realize that they were going to be my wise counsel, my the people that like spiritual mother, father, sister, brother, that kind of a thing, spiritual family. People that I could lean on, that I can talk to about mentors. When I tell you, God gave them to me before I realized, oh, Jesus, before I realized what they even were to be in my life. So fast forward to, I will say, the last couple of years, but especially this year when the Lord's like, I want you to be in ministry, at least for the time being. And I'm like, okay, but like, how does that work? Now I have someone that I can lean on. I have someone that I can, it's like, okay, well, like, this is what I believe the Lord is saying, can you make this make sense for me? Or can you help me navigate this? Or whatever the case is. Like, do you realize how crazy that is? I didn't even realize the value that they were going to place in my life. I didn't realize the need that was there. Before, like, oh my gosh. Like, without them, I don't know how this wouldn't work. It wouldn't. They're who hold me up because I no, absolutely not. It's too difficult on your own. Most of my instruction comes from the Lord, but I've had to, He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do most things independent of man, and I needed that. Um, and in addition to that, um, it's helped me navigate just like life walking with Christ, what it is to have a promise and walk with Christ, because that's its own thing. Like, it blows my mind that that was the case, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it before. So that just goes to show that He gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want, but what you need, even if it's not like in the here and the now. He'll give you what you need. He's so good. That is just so insane to me. Sorry, it just blows my mind. So, in addition to that, with friends, he knows exactly the type of friends that you need, the type of friends that, like, I've talked about how you can be unequally yoked with a fellow Christian. If you have a friend who reads the Bible once a week, prays once a week, something like that, and you're someone who's like, and to be honest, most people, it's a struggle for most people to pray. It's a struggle for most people to read their word. Consider your lack of friends, or um yeah, your lack of friends or whatever. Consider that in some cases a blessing, because if you're going deep with the things of God, or wanting to, and you have someone who's not that incentivized to do that, you've got a potential problem on your hands, because either they're going to rise to where you're at, or you're going to stoop to where they're at. Um and it won't be good. So even with friends, he has that. Like, I think about the specific, oh my gosh, I have a story about that. I won't tell that either, but I had a specific um he has, or strategically put people in my life that have faith on a similar level as me. Because to be honest, for a while, I didn't even have anyone really. Actually, no, that's not true. I almost lied to you. Um, most of my friends were not Christians when I first started following him, and honestly, for a few years later, most of them were not, because after I went through my rebellious stage, at where I didn't want to be reminded of the things of God, and I'm like, no, I gotta find friends that aren't like this. And then he got to working in me, and let me tell you, it became very uncomfortable. you know, um, being around the same kinds of things and certain conversations and stuff like that. That's not to shame anyone or anything, because, um, my thing on ungodly friendships, while there's a risk there, I don't think it's, you gotta take that to the Lord. I'm not gonna like talk about all that, but he's got that figured out for you. Um, he's got everything so calculated, so figured out for you. Some of you are, let's see, I talked about career, love, finances. Some of you are meant to be a mother, a father. Some of you aren't. Um, I believe, for if you have the desire, then it's probably of him, but some of you aren't meant for that. Um, some of you are meant to completely serve him, and that's just your life, you know. And you don't get to be a Jonah and like pick and choose what assignments you want to go on. Um, Trying to think of some other categories. I can't think of any off the top of my head, so I think I shared what I needed to. But he has you in these life categories. Um, and the more you come to realize it, the more at ease you can be at. Oh, yeah, I'll give you one more example. Um, some people, and this kind of relates to career and finances and stuff. Some people, You might be like an artist, maybe you're a Christian artist, whatever, and you know you're talented, you know you have something there, but for some reason, like, you're not really getting anywhere. Obviously, there's a few different considerations there, but some people, this is going to sound kind of wild, but some people are meant for the masses and some people are not. And it has no bearing on your talent. God is so God is so talented or talented, sorry. God is so wise and calculated in a good way that he knows that if you if I give you the masses and you can't handle that, maybe you have a temptation with pride and or whatever the case is, with greed, with money, you will lose sight of me. You will lose sight of self. I can't do that for you. You're only meant to get to this level when it comes to, you know, maybe you're a singer and it's like, you want to tour the world or something like that. Well, you might not ever get outside of your state or your country or whatever. And that's fine. That's the category, if it's that, not a lack of like marketing or something like that, but like if that's the category that he's put you in, give thanks to him because there's a reason why. Anything more will destroy you. And some of us, we're operating with um whatever he's given us, we're operating with less than that. And it will also destroy you. Some people are meant for worldwide fame, recognition, whatever. Some people, most of us actually, are meant for a specific group. And this is a really big thing also with ministry too, because there's literally some people, I don't know like why anyone would do this, but people be people. And there are some people who want a big ministry, want a mega church or something like that. If that's you, please repent. Because that's literally not what it's about. Yes, it's good to want people to hear the gospel, obviously, but it's not what it's about. That will come with God's grace, with God's stamp of approval, but it should not be the pursuit. And I hear people talk about that, and I'm just like, what? Um, some of us are called to masses, some of us are not. Some of us are called to riches, some of us are not. And it's not a reflection of the lack of his love or anything like that. No. It's actually his love that says, no, that's not meant for you. You might want it, but it's not meant for you. So I know this was kind of half a rant, half, a message. I'm a little bit sorry about that. But I hope it was understood that, basically whatever that thing that you're worried about, whatever that thing that's bothering you, whatever that issue that seems like you're just kind of stuck there, know that God is behind it. Know that God's got you. Know that he's figured everything out for you. You just need to partner with him and you'll be good to go. And don't for a minute think, if you're listening to this and thinking that just sounds awful, like he's planned everything out, blah blah blah, don't for a moment think that it's like you're going to be a robot, because again, there's an individual path for every single one. Even though, like, for instance, for me, I'm called to ministry just like my mentors are. And there's a lot of similarities within our paths, but they're not 100%, like, no. Um, oh, one more category that I'm reminded of. Some people, and this is if God wants to use you for ministry or for some great miracle or something, some assignment. Some people, God has his hand really like has them on a short leash, so to speak. I always felt in my life like I couldn't like do like I don't know how to explain it. Almost like there was a shield around me in a sense. Like I would want to do certain things or get away with certain things, and it would be very difficult for me. It's like everyone else could do it, but I couldn't do it, type of a thing in many cases. And I've realized that there was a preservation that God wanted for me, that he had his hand on me in a way that at the time of being young, I hated, I rebelled against it. But as I've gotten older, I realized, oh my God, I was so blessed. I was protected. I was this, I was that, I was cared for. And I'm beyond grateful. But it caused a lot of like issues as far as me and how I saw myself and all this stuff. Like I felt like I don't want to go into all that, but I just it was kind of hard for me to accept, to be honest. And obviously, up until recently, I didn't even realize what was going on. I'm just like, why am I like this? Blah 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 blah. God's hand was upon me. For some of us, some of you, God's hand is really upon you, and you will not, excuse me, you will try 100 different women, 100 different men. Not gonna get anywhere except a heartbreak. You will try 50 different careers. Not gonna get anywhere. For some of us, he really has, it's like he has everything planned out for all of us, but for people he wants to use for ministry, for people he wants to use for specific assignments and stuff like that, he will really keep a hand on you. And you'll just have no other option. Like you can rebel all you want, but you will literally have no other option. So it's like, okay, I guess I have to go with this, because and that's how it was for me, like coming back to God. It was like, oh, okay, well, everything in my life is falling apart. And it doesn't make any sense because I'm like genuinely giving it a good effort. So some of us who think that our life is falling apart, and you're turning to this and you're turning to that, and you just can't get over doing the same thing and expecting a different result, it's because God's hand is actually on you. It's not a curse, it's favor. You have to discern based off your circumstances whether it's a curse or whether it's favor, because to be honest, to a degree, it can kind of feel the same, to be honest. But that might not be no curse, baby. That might be favor. And if that's the case, you have to partner with God. There's no way around it. If you've been dedicated as a child, as a baby, dedicated to it, like in a church, whatever, dedicated to the Lord, um, that's a pretty good um indication that his hand is really going to be upon you. There's a whole spiritual thing behind that, but I'm not going to get into that. But, and you'll try things and it just won't work because he has married his spirit up to you. You are his. No way around it. So I wish I had known this stuff ages ago, but maybe this will help you. I hope it will. I hope it will. Whatever that thing is that's bothering you, that's ailing you, whatever. Take it to the Lord. He's got a solution for it. I promise you that. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more. All right. Bye.